To my mind, these are some of the most profound passages in Hegel's work. The context of the passages is the section Subject to Spirit in Hegel's Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences, a section which presents Hegel's mature philosophical anthropology, or in other words, his account of the fundamental constituents of the human person. What they speak of is closely connected to something Hegel talks about much earlier in the text, in the introduction to the whole of philosophy of spirit. There, in the introduction, Hegel puts forward what it takes to be the essence or concept of spirit. By spirit, Hegel means the human life form in general, and by its essence or concept, its immanent constitutive ideal. That immanent constitutive ideal, according to Hegel, is what he calls concrete freedom. As constitutively social creatures, we cannot be free with regard to each other or the social world more broadly in the abstract sense of free from, nor is trying to be free by dominating others ever a stable solution. These are the lessons that Hegel's famous figures of the master and bondsman appearing in this text just before the cited passages teach us. We can only be free with regard to each other and the social world in the concrete sense of reconciled with. A sustainable reconciliation between relata in Hegel's sense, whether these be humanity and external nature, an individual and her internal nature, or an individual and other individuals or the social world, includes two intertwined moments. Firstly, the mutual independence or irreducibility of the relata, and secondly, the overcoming of their mutual alienness. In the passages in question, Hegel focuses on the interoceptive dimension of concrete freedom, or in other words, on concrete freedom in relations between persons. On my interpretation, this has two components or layers, what I call the norm-mediated and the purely interoceptive. The norm-mediated component consists of norm-governed or deontic roles in a cooperative system which both allows individuals to realize and express their particular individualities and in which the roles interlock in mutually supportive ways. Hegel's ideal state presented in his philosophy of right is such a cooperative institutional system, the details of which in his view are suited to his own historical and cultural circumstances in early 19th century Prussia. Axel Honneth formulates in his book Freedom's Right another such system, the details of which are in his view suited to the historical and cultural circumstances of contemporary Germany. But the other component, the purely interoceptive one, consists of attitudes of recognition between individuals which abstract from deontic roles. As I have elaborated elsewhere, they are more exactly unconditional attitudes of recognition, respect, love, and gratitude, which both individuate the concerned individuals and unite them internally. When I recognize you unconditionally in the sense of respect you as sharing authority with me on the norms governing our shared life and thus our deontic roles, I both grasp you as an irreducibly other individual and at the same time am united with you in the sense of being subjected to your authority. And when respect is mutual, we overcome the limitations of our respective particular perspectives and reach, as Hegel puts it, universality in the form of reciprocity. The same goes for unconditional recognition in the sense of love, or in other words, unconditional concern for the other's well-being. In mutual love, both parties recognize the other as having a perspective or concerns irreducible to one's own, and yet at the same time is united with the other by being unconditionally moved by those concerns. Gratitude is the response for love, and it instantiates a similar unity of difference and unity. What we have here is Hegel's sophisticated relational essentialism, articulating what Hegel claims to be the immanent ideal of all of the relations constitutive of human life, in the passages in question focusing only on interoceptive relations. Why I think this severely neglected aspect of Hegel's thought speaks to us today is because of the need to go genuinely global in critical social thought, to come up with articulations of common humanity, with ways to talk of better and worse ways of human coexistence that are not bound up with particular historical and cultural circumstances or dependent on particular principles institutionalized in a particular part of the globe, be that Germany, Europe, the West, or the global North. Indeed, critical social thought needs to look for anthropological foundations if it wishes to overcome the parochialism that still too often burdens it. Furthermore, I believe it should do this by following Hegel's sophisticated relational model, focusing on general features of good human relations, features which allow them to realize concrete freedom, which is what Hegel thinks of as the immanent ideal of our shared humanity. Thank you.